Hello, this is Business Live from the BBC with Sally Bundock and Ben Plant. That is the bell ringing on Wall Street, and it means the US markets are open. It also means we are live around the world. It's a new day, a new week, and time for the money news that matters. Hello, I'm Ben Bland, and this is Talking Business. Let's take a look at the headlines. Our top story, new promises from China's president to open up the country's economy. Another day and another big Brexit vote here at Westminster. Will a vote of confidence in Theresa May's government give businesses any more of the certainty they crave?
Ben is with us with some breaking news in the business world, Ben.
Yes, Lucy, I'm just keeping an eye on it because any second now we're expecting the Bank of England to announce its decision on interest rates. We will keep across that and bring it to you the second we get it. Hello, very warm welcome to World Business Report. I'm Ben Bland. Do you ever get the feeling you've overindulged around Christmas and then try to shed some of those gains? Well, global stock markets appear to be doing exactly the same. The rally we saw the day after Christmas has given way to a sell-off, particularly on Wall Street. Important figures just out of the world's biggest economy, and the growth in jobs in the US has slowed down. Last month, it produced just 20,000 new jobs. That is way down on the 311,000 that were created in January. In fact, it is the slowest rate of increase since September 2017. Hello and a very warm welcome to Business Live. Another day and another big vote here in Westminster. The British government will face a no-confidence vote this evening that could lead to a general election. This follows the comprehensive defeat of Theresa May's Brexit withdrawal deal. That's led to yet more questions and indeed more uncertainty for businesses and everyone else about what the UK's future trading relationship with the European Union will look like. Hello, time for your business headlines on Afternoon Live. Here they are. Britain's economy chalked up solid productivity growth in the last 3 months of last year. There we are. You can see that those sharp falls. I mean, they've only been trading for, 20 minutes or so now. That is how they open. The reason the markets suffer when there is this kind of trade row, investors don't like the uncertainty.
I knew you were going to say uncertainty. Always.
What am I going to say next then?
I'm uncertain.
Very good. They move to safer assets. They leave riskier stocks. Yeah. Safer assets like gold,
gold,
government
yes.
bonds.
There you go.
Right. Let's take a look at what's trending online in the business world. The Independent is reporting that the trends for beards that we've seen in the last couple of years among young men is having a negative impact on razor sales. Hardly surprising, but Gillette has seen a drop in sales of 5% versus a year ago. Just as well I got rid of mine.
It certainly will be symbolic if rates go up for the first time in a decade.
Indeed it will, Anita, and that's why all the traders here on the trading floor at Lloyd's are watching it very, very closely. Let me just take you into the screen where it's going to pop up. This screen here, you can see that's the current interest rate, that's what they're expecting, and that where the two little dashes are is where the rate will appear when it's announced. It will appear at exactly midday, so in about 10 seconds or so. We'll just keep it on that screen. You'll see it as traders here and around the world will see that result. It's coming up in just a few seconds, so we'll see if it's as everyone expected. And there it is, 0.5%, so an increase in the base rate of 0.25%. That's what most economists were expecting. The reason it's significant is because that Bank of England base interest rate is used as a benchmark, as a guide for setting the rate you get on your savings, the rate that you pay on your mortgage.
An estimate at this stage, but that's what they think it grew by. That's a slight increase on the first 3 months of the year when it grew by 0.2%. Now, the reason we talk about this whenever these figures come out, it's always closely watched, but it's an indicator of how much activity there is in the economy. GDP refers to the total amount of goods and services that the country produces. So if that number's increasing, it means that there's a lot more economic activity. That's good in terms of jobs. And if there are more jobs, it means there are more people paying taxes, more people outspending. So it's a bit of a positive circle as long as it's growing. So the measure we're talking about is the Consumer Prices Index. This is basically a big shopping basket of goods and services that we typically spend our money on. What they do is compare the difference in prices from from this time last year to now. And as you say, what we've seen is that prices are still going up, but not as quickly as they did in May.
The UK's manufacturing industry is meeting in Westminster at their annual conference, and we go to our business presenter, Ben Bland, who is there for us now. Ben.
Yeah, Simon, the delegates are starting to leave to wrap up the day. Alison's here collecting their passes as they go out. There are a couple of them, though, we have nabbed, made sure they didn't leave too soon. We've got Steve and Ian here. We're going to get their thoughts on some of the main issues that have cropped up.
The DAX is higher, responding positively, like many global markets, to those talks in Beijing between China and the US. They're trying to resolve their trade row. That would help global trade, important to German firms on the DAX, many of which rely on exporting their goods around the world. Japan's Nikkei 225 closed the day higher. That's in common with the leading markets in Hong Kong and Shanghai. Investors have rediscovered their appetite for riskier stocks and shares after those promising noises that we've had coming out of the trade talks. And that's also having a positive effect on oil. Look at that, Brent crude spiking above $60 a barrel, hitting a 3.5-week high. That is in response to the main oil-producing countries' club, known as OPEC, cutting output and also concerns easing over weak growth in demand for fuel. And that's enough markets for the moment. What was the last thing you got repaired? Well, for me, it was a washing machine. That was because it was cheaper to get it repaired than replaced. But it is frustrating, isn't it? When you buy a new appliance, then just after the warranty runs out, it gives up. The repair costs can be astronomical. So what do? You think it's cheaper to just buy a replacement. I can just about see you, and the reason is we're talking fake flowers. They're growing in popularity across the world. It's an industry worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year. But what is the appeal? I know someone who can tell us. That's Janie Dillon, Chief Executive and founder of the fake flowers firm Amaranthine Blooms. What does the name mean, by the way?
It means everlastingly beautiful.
I'm making a mess of this beautifully prepared bowl.
I think it's very widely used because it's a bit like cheaper to get than sushi, and the flavors are much better, and it's blown up because everyone wants to do like takeaways and get it sent to their house. It's fast.
It's a bit like, the consistency's a bit like tapioca, but the taste, very earthy.
Very earthy. And you can mix it with different flavours.
Now, what are you meant to do with it? Because presumably you're not going to eat a whole bowl of this.
No, not on a whole bowl. It's normally used as a garnish.
We've also got kind of high protein, so you know, a lot of people sort of heading to the gym. They want to maybe.
Okay, so I was planning to go to the gym after the programme. If I had this, is that just as good for me as you know, the protein shake that all the gyms say you should?
I can't promise it would be, but it's certainly high in protein, comparable to the traditional ice cream that maybe my great-grandfather used to make.
That tastes a lot nicer than the protein shakes.
You can switch this on.
Guys,
here,
it's live television. Go on, give us a
one
demo.
press, and now we've got sensors in the base, and you can actually control the flight and the height just by putting your hand underneath.
That?
Well, if I... there we go. I just pressed the land button.
Oh, yeah, that was you. That was your fault. I thought I'd done something wrong. This kicks in from November. One small personal bag. So something about this size, you'd probably be OK. Under the seat in front.
Well, you wouldn't be going very far for very long with that, would you? Well, I wouldn't.
Well, that's true. Maybe a beach holiday, somewhere hot. But if you're taking on a bigger bag, something maybe that size or a wheel-on case, you'd have to either pay £6 to take it on with you, or even more, pay £10 to put it in the hold. Let's put it to the test. Here we go. Here's the new fiver, and there we go. In it goes. And yeah, there's no ink running. You could probably dry it off.
Yep, looking pretty good, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah, not bad. There'll also be a new discount rail card for those aged between 26 and 30. That has gone on sale already. It's like the 16 to 25 rail card.
Is that on condition that they stand and give up their seat for anybody a bit older?
Are you asking for a friend?
Just a thought. Anyway.
Now, many of us will have a favourite outfit, something that makes us feel confident, maybe even powerful. But for some, what you wear underneath can be just as important. What are you wearing underneath, Ben?
Mariam, you're cheeky. There's plenty of news on the Business Live page, bbc.com/business. On there right now, they're taking the nuts away. No more nuts on walnut whips. It's another sign of shrinkflation. This is Nestle saying that to
cut costs. They're taking the nut from the new versions of the classic walnut whip. So yeah, as the director points out, it's now just a whip. Well, yeah, if Wall Street was a fairground of roller coasters, on Christmas Eve I'd have been selling you tickets for the Big Dipper. They had their worst ever Christmas Eve
How long did it take you to come up with that one?
Seconds, not as long as it would have taken
No,
you.
but it sort of showed, yeah.
And then on Boxing Day, it was more a case of, you know, roll up for the skyrocket. They soared. The Dow Jones, biggest ever single daily points gain. It was up by over 1,000 points. So a very volatile Christmas period.
I will show you the video later, but there you are. That's the fat rat.
Does it have a name? Have they given it a name?
No.
It reminds me of someone. I can't quite tell who, but...
That's it from Afternoon Live for this hour. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
But I was not a good businessman. Ha! You don't say.
A bit worrying the way Aaron's eyeing that needle, but anyway.
Do you know, there's only one thing more disturbing than Aaron with a surgical glove and a needle in his hand, and that would be Mariam.
OK, now it's World Book Day, and the business world has been getting in on this too, as have so many parents who are up in the middle of the night sewing costumes, and God knows what else. Anyway.
I like your effort. I mean, the Gruffalo just perfectly suits you.
Go on.
If looks could kill, well...
You'd have gone a long time ago.
Yeah, Prosecco.
Yeah, it's, well, it has been the success story, but peak Prosecco has been reached, is that right?
I know. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? There is actually a business reason for having this bubbly stuff on Afternoon Live. Yeah, apart from first day back after bank holiday weekend.
Well, I'll drink to that.
This is... So apparently sales are now starting to slow of Prosecco. Luxury car brands moving into the sports utility vehicle market, the SUV market, seems to be a growing area. Perhaps good for profits, not so good for the environment though, is it?
Well, Ben, I would say that that is not the right assessment. I mean, I think that, you know, super sport car brand Lamborghini has a focus to make sure that in that segment we are the head of the brand.
He joins us now, Kasper Rorsted, the new chief executive of Adidas, live from the firm's headquarters in Herzogenaurach in Germany. So, these new targets, how are you going to do it?
First of all, we had a stellar 2016. It was the best year in our history by a long mile, and we're very well underway in executing upon our strategy.
The big business story that we've been focusing on throughout the day is the return on some UK government debt turning negative. Nothing to do with Peppa Pig, that's coming up in just a moment. On the UK gilts, let me tell you, it means some... just stay there, Peppa, we'll be with you in a minute. It means some investors are effectively paying to lend the government money. Hello, welcome to World Business Report. I'm Ben Bland, and we start with news of an Emirates airplane which has crashed at Dubai International Airport. The incident appeared to take place as the plane landed. Now compare that to Australia, where the corporate tax rate is 30% and 35% in the United States. So we're just going to take you back to the press conference in Brussels. The prosecutor there talking about the investigation into the bombings that happened last month. Let's join them again. What you can see there during the press conference in Brussels, that CCTV footage being shown of that third man, the so-called third suspect from the Brussels airport bombings. Let me just explain what we're seeing on screen now. These are live images from Hamburg. Those protesters, they're staging a sit-in protest in the middle of the street. It appears that police are using water cannon on them to try to get them to move on. There have been protests there in Hamburg since the summit began yesterday. Initially a very peaceful protest, but then it later turned into clashes between the protesters and riot police.
It's goodbye from me in New York.
And there's plenty more on the website, bbc.com/business, whenever you want it. Goodbye from me in London. There'll be more Business Live for you tomorrow. Bye-bye.